My dear people of Amazonia, my fellow brave warriors of our liberation movement of the southern Cameroons. Our celebration greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro. Today is Sunday, December 4, 2022. My people, I'm delighted once more to be here today to have this conversation with each and every one of us. Today, I'm also delighted that some of those people that were arrested after being indicted by the U.S. Justice Department have, regained their freedom, albeit on bail. It is obvious that I think all of them could end up getting bail where they will live in their homes freely, be able to go about, with the exception of leaving the United States, and they'll be able to go about their activities, take care of their families until the hearing into the charges brought up against them is completed and their fate decided. Like I said in my last broadcast, the very interesting thing about the US justice system is that the onus of proof is on the plaintiff. And in this matter, the plaintiff is the government of the United States of America. This is very important because I like each and every one to know that much as you hear a lot of noise coming in from people of La République du Cameroun, and with all the drums being beaten here and there trying to claim victory, the truth, the basic truth of this whole thing is what has just happened is a process that is ongoing by the US government. And like I said in my last broadcast, following Senate Resolution 648, that resolution made clear that there were human rights violations, abuses, and crimes against humanity being committed by actors on both sides of the ongoing conflict in the southern Cameroons between the government forces of La République du Cameroun and the self-defense volunteers of Amazonia. We have said it over and over that there are people who infiltrated our movement with the intention of not just benefiting from this unfortunate situation, but especially with the intention to cause harm to our movement. Listen, I have said on this platform before that if there is any site that suffers enormously from the effects of kidnapping for ransom on ground zero, it is the liberation movements of the southern Cameroons. I had announced a long time ago, this was way back in 2018, that the CPDM elite of the area they call Southwest region sat at a meeting at Minister Clarkson Mbianyo Tangi. Yes, Mbianyo Clarkson. He used to be Minister of the Environment and Forestry. And they held a meeting at his home at a level, specifically at a level in Yaoundé. And at that meeting, attended by Tabetando and all of those people, the plan was clear that they were going to set up forces, even hire people, and send especially into the area they called Northwest, in the northern zone, so that they should go there and carry out a lot of exactions against the civilian population, carry out a lot of brutality in the name of the self-defense volunteers, with the sole intention of turning the people against their own liberation movement. We can't deny it that over time, even some involved in our liberation movement got involved in that untoward, uncomely, unacceptable, and despicable practice of kidnapping for ransom. That really did turn quite some people away from the unwavering support they had for our liberation movement. There are people I know who were die-hard supporters of our liberation movement. It's not like they've withdrawn altogether, but they've gone to the back bench because their own family members were kidnapped and they were forced to pay ransoms. That act, those kidnapping for ransoms, dented the image of our liberation movement so bad. And so therefore, I want to make clear that La République du Cameroun is not scoring any victory here. Because you should be able to understand that there are a lot of people in our midst, in our ranks, diehard supporters of the freedom of Ambazonia, who are busy today giving out testimony, giving out leads and tips as to those who were involved in the kidnapping ring. Because it's an ill we had all agreed that we need to fight against, to make sure it ends. Because we cannot be the same people turning on those that we are fighting to liberate and bringing pain onto them. And therefore, my people, in the process of doing this, some innocent people might be set up. But again, the beauty of the US judicial system is that they will all have the opportunity to defend themselves in a free and fair trial where they will have the chance to get their lawyers present their cases and present anything they have as defenses for themselves. In the end, if you are found guilty of having been involved in the acts of kidnapping, of course you will face the long arm of the law. So therefore, if any of you has had a chance to listen to Jipo Reningono, because I followed him yesterday, Saturday, I heard him read out a list of people, both within the government of La République du Cameroun and some actors in our liberation movement, as being people that are under investigation. Of course, he mentioned Atanga Paul G. He mentioned Issa Chiruma Bakari. He mentioned Laurent Esso. He mentioned Okalia Bilai Bernard. He mentioned quite a good lot of dignitaries in the Paul Biya government, while at the same time naming people too in our liberation movement. So this is a roller coaster that is definitely not going to end on Ambazonia, that would extend its tentacles and get to each and every one that has been involved in this act. Like I said before, a good lot of government officials in La République du Cameroun sponsor people to go out there and carry out horrible exactions. Just like you learned that Titus Nkonda of the so-called My Country People then is also being investigated, just like the so-called Chief Moja Moja. All because these people have been carrying out heinous acts that they want to carry out and claim at the end of the day that those acts were committed by the liberation forces of the southern Cameroons. Before I go further in this discussion, I want to hold a bit briefly here and remind all and sundry in the United States of America, in Canada, those who are around here, of course, there are people in Europe, I understand, are also involved in massive preparations to be part of the demonstration that we are calling in Washington, D.C. on December 14, 2022. And I want to make again clear that the date is December 14, 2022. This is a commonly agreed to date by all the actors involved in our liberation movement and who have agreed to participate in mobilizing the people of Ambazonia towards this demonstration. As I promised in my last broadcast, I've been able to talk to everyone that I was able to reach. I was able to talk to Comrade Yerima. I was able to talk to Comrade Elvis Kometa. I was able to talk to Comrade Ayaba Lucas. I was able to talk to Comrade Ebenezer Kwanga. I was able to talk to Comrade Chris Anu. So I've spoken to a lot of people, to Comrade Yamagi Kilo. So therefore, the few people that have not been able to reach out to, others have committed that they are getting out to them. But the general consensus is that we will demonstrate on December 14, 2022 in Washington, D.C. within the framework of the U.S. Africa Leadership Summit that's going to take place in Washington, D.C. from the 13th to the 15th of December. So if you heard out there any announcement about the 13, know that there's been harmony, there's been agreement, and now the harmonized date is December 14. Another thing you need to know about this demonstration is that this particular demonstration is non-partisan. It is not a demonstration being organized by any single group or by our various movements, groups, and organizations in our liberation struggle. It is being organized by Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, and we are urging each and every one of you, wherever you are in Northern America, to begin preparing to come for this massive demonstration. This is going to be a unique demonstration because it should enable us, one, to reboot our movement very seriously. Number two, to be able to attract the attention of the powerful Western media that is going to be in Washington, D.C. to cover this discussion that's going to be all about Africa. So there could never be any moment as unique as this for us to make the case for all the atrocities that La République du Cameroun is perpetrating on our land. Yes, we will take this opportunity to mobilize the global community once more around support for our liberation movement. Make no mistake, my people, self-defense is a right, and our right to self-defense was first affirmed. I'm talking about self-determination. Our right to self-determination was first affirmed by the African Union Human Rights Court in the Banjul. That was way back in 2009. And then, in its recent ruling and opinion, the United Nations Human Rights Council also reaffirmed our right to self-determination. Therefore, nobody should deceive any one of us that the United States of America is prosecuting our liberation movement. There is no country in the world where the notion of freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, the freedom to demonstrate, and the freedom to seek self-determination is as expressed as in the United States of America. There is no country in the world that can champion that better than the United States of America. And to make clear that it is not a liberation movement that is under prosecution, take note, it's not long that the Biden administration decided to grant the temporary protected status to us, to Ambazonians, and by extension to other citizens of La République du Cameroun who are also facing persecution in the United States of America. Of course, the initial timeline is 18 months, and which could be extended based on the situation on the ground. And I can already guarantee you that it definitely is going to be extended. That is a strong message from the government of the United States of America that they will never stand with the oppressed against an oppressed people. But take note, every art has its rules. There are always rules of engagement. If you go out of your way, rather than standing to protect the same people that you are fighting for, and you turn against them, start kidnapping them for ransom and everything, be very certain that the long arm of the law will be after you. Like I said in my last broadcast, if we had the opportunity ourselves to begin going after all those that we could identify as participating in those heinous acts of kidnapping for ransom, we wouldn't have hesitated. And I know that all our groups, movements, and organizations in sane minds have roundly condemned such acts. Take note, my people. Our people on ground zero who have been affected have gone through a lot of pain, and we must all stand with the suffering people in solidarity. Remember that at the core of this phase of our liberation movement was also the protection of our common law system. You see that all those who are arrested, abducted by La République du Cameroun and thrown in dungeons all over in that country, a good lot of them until today have not even been brought before the law courts. A good lot of them today have never been given the opportunity to defend themselves. About 100% of them have been tortured and subjected to very dehumanizing treatment by the government of La République du Cameroun. My people of Ambazonia, not a single one of them has been granted bail. But take a look at what has happened in the United States of America. 3 people who were under investigation have been raided, arrested, and charged, and then they were detained. But today, as I speak to you, just few days after, some, and maybe even now that I'm doing this podcast, perhaps all of them are already been granted bail. They will be back in their homes and be going from their houses free to defend themselves. That is when the rule of law is in operation. And that is at the core of our movement, to send La République du Cameroun out of our territory so that we as a people can better organize our own country, better organize our society, make our society one of law and order, where the respect for human rights is supreme, where the respect for the dignity of the human person will not be under negotiations or other discussion. So therefore, that demonstration on the 14th of December is extremely important for all of us. It is an opportunity for us to go out there and remind the world that we will never rest until Ambazonia is free. To reaffirm our determination to fight on whatever the vicissitudes, and to send a clear message to La République du Cameroun that we will never be intimidated, that we know the rule of law, and that none of us in the right frame of mind will ever support kidnapping for ransom, will ever support the violation of the rights of our own people, will never support the abuses that have been meted on our people by both the forces of La République du Cameroun and proxy forces working under their directions, and then some misguided fellows in our own midst. These people, we will contribute in whatever way we can to assist the government of the United States of America and any other government in weeding out those bad seeds if they are found in the United States of America, and if they truly have been participating in enforcing the kidnapping of our citizens. Because that has turned quite some people against our liberation movement. That has radicalized some people on ground zero to even begin thinking that they should turn against their own quest for freedom. So therefore, it's a commitment that we must all make to ensure that we rid our struggle of some of those bad seeds. So therefore, my brothers and sisters of the Southern Cameroons, a lot of people I'm seeing on various forums have started making carpooling arrangements. I saw a brother in New Jersey announcing he'll be driving to Washington, D.C. for this demonstration on the 14th, and is offering to carry 3 people from New Jersey. Of course, on the forum where he said this, he did leave his contact. And I'm sure that quite on other forums, as I've seen about 2 people already in Minnesota indicating that they will be driving to Washington, D.C., and so they are open to transporting others. I've learned that there are already arrangements in Massachusetts, in Boston, for a bus. And so those who are interested in traveling, and of course everybody should, try to find out who is making the arrangement for that bus to travel from Boston, so that you will be part of the expedition. This is something that each and every one of us should be doing. Let's make arrangements for mass movements to drive ourselves into Washington, D.C. And my people, within the framework of this demonstration, there are certain things we want to do. We want to be able to make this demonstration unlike any other one. And therefore, in discussion with the other members in the leadership of our liberation movement, we came to the conclusion that we will need to hire an LED truck to accompany us during this demonstration and displaying our motion pictures. This project is going to cost us close to $2,600. And therefore, I want to use this opportunity to launch a clarion call on this platform. If you are willing to help, and I pray that as many as possible get up to help, Contribute your own quota, $50, $100, $200. Let's raise this money quickly. We have very little time, just a few days. Listen, I am announcing this collection on the Ambazonia Relief Fund. You can contribute by using as PayPal ambarelief2018 at gmail.com. Amber Relief is AMBARELIEF 2018 at gmail.com. You can use that both for Zelle and for PayPal to send in your contribution to support this demonstration. I would also recommend that there may be others who will be involved too in doing the collection. If they reach out to you, please do well to help. We need to be able to make this demonstration a resounding success, although it is coming at short notice. Don't forget, we are locked up in a war. Therefore, there is sometimes not enough time for so much planning. Let's be spontaneous. Let us come out in our numbers. Let us rise and get counted once more and show the world that we as a people continue to live under slavery and servitude, under torture of all nature, and therefore we need to raise ourselves free from the grips of La République du Cameroun and its sponsor, France. So my people of Ambazonia, therefore, that's the much I can say about those indictments. I want to go back now to an interview that I followed, broadcast on CLTV. That interview was conducted by one of my former colleagues, Drusilla Makoso-Joki. I heard her talking with one John Billy Echo, who said he was Inspector General at the Ministry of External Relations of La République du Cameroun. If you did follow that interview, because I know it's on social media now, as audio is circulating everywhere on WhatsApp. When you listen to the gentleman talk, you notice that he's finding it difficult to actually claim victory because he knows that they can't. Because he knows that much as they are trying to use this as an opportunity to frighten, to sow doubt, confusion, and should I say fear in the minds of some of our people, they absolutely try to do it with caution. But one thing he recognizes is that this matter in the United States is brought up against our people by the government of the United States of America dealing with its citizens. So the Cameroon government is not a plaintiff in this matter. Get that very right. The Cameroon government is not a plaintiff, is not the plaintiff in this matter. So when you hear the gesticulations of one Nsalai who says he's a lawyer and all of those things, I heard even a citizen of La République du Cameroun, Jipon Remingono, say this yesterday, that Nsalai should show a single document to prove that he filed anything anywhere against our people. You know, as well as I do, that La République du Cameroun is a champion in corruption and embezzlement. Every single opportunity that comes their way, that they can dribble money out of the state coffers, they would definitely never hesitate to do so. That is why you will see CRTV will quickly invite Nsalai so that he says, oh, this is an ongoing process. We have been doing this. We have been providing this. We have sued. Nsalai sued nowhere. A couple of times Nsalai brought cases against our people. Those cases collapsed completely. And therefore, this is an opportunity that he's seeing for himself to do some more marketing for himself. So along with his accomplices in the Cameroon government, their Tanganjis and others, they should be able to, cause Biya to cough out to them billions of CFA francs that will simply get stashed in their accounts left and right because they are doing nothing. I heard a question on that interview about Mr. Tibor Nagy, with the CRTV journalist claiming that Mr. Tibor Nagy, the former UN Undersecretary at the ministry or at the Department of State in charge of the Bureau of African Affairs, that he's been stoking the flames the more with his tweets. Because La République du Cameroun hates truth, because La République du Cameroun hates to recognize that there are people in this world that can't stand and watch injustice, because La République du Cameroun is not accustomed to people saying it as it is, that is why those tweets by Mr. Tibor Nagy are synonymous to La République du Cameroun to support for the cause of the freedom of the people of the southern Cameroons. And who are we not to claim it? Who are we not to claim it? Listen, people. The one thing that Mr. Limunga did not say, or that that Mr. Bilieko John did not say. Is it Bilieko or yeah, I think so. And I'm mixing up the John Bilieko with another one called Limunga Bilieko, who is actually a journalist. So, my people, the fact that he denied to mention that there are people within their government that are also under investigation, that have already been barred from getting to the United States of America, makes this entire interview completely dishonest. So therefore, people, nobody should be frightened. If you are doing right in this liberation movement, continue to do right. I said a while ago, or in my last broadcast, that the people of the United States of America also fought for their freedom from the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland from 1774 to 1776. And they were able to send the British government out of the United States of America and had their freedom. Don't forget that in this same America lived one of the greatest, should I say, one of the greatest apologists of civil rights and civil liberties. That is the late Martin Luther King Jr. That he led hundreds of thousands of black people in the streets of the United States of America to protest, to ascertain their rights as humans. Therefore, the United States of America cannot be against the people of Ambazonia standing up for their right to self-determination. This should be very clear. Support for our cause for self-determination is not synonymous to support to atrocities committed by some misguided ones in our midst who are in the minority, and soldiers of La République du Cameroun who have razed hundreds of villages down to ashes, burnt humans alive, burnt people, scores of people alive, used proxy forces that they claim to be vigilante groups to burn to death over 23 young children and women, among them a pregnant woman in Gabu. They used proxy Fulani forces in Wum, in Mencho, to kill and torture civilians. They have continued to do that all over the place. They hired thugs and caused them to create camps to pass across as ambers, and who in turn went out to promote this notion of kidnapping, this evil of kidnapping for ransom here and there. The intention was to turn our people against their own liberation movement. But in the process of doing that, they found out that it could be a lucrative industry. I know there are hardened bandits too that have been involved. So therefore, as Ambazonians, we have to continue to stand for that which is right. We have to continue to stand for our freedom, because no one in the world will ever stop us from doing that. No one in the world who knows and recognizes the right to self-determination will ever come to stand in our way of seeking the freedom we deserve. We have to bear that in mind. And once we have that in mind, we will know how to appreciate what is currently going on. My people of Ambazonia, while the citizens of La République du Cameroun were in euphoria watching the World Cup, as I said in my last broadcast, La République du Cameroun has prepared for them a sound and dangerous package come January 2023. The hardship in that country will be unimaginable. Therefore, we have to remain firm and resolute, because our people of the southern Cameroons don't deserve to be part of the torture, of the hardship, of the economic malaise that's going to be unleashed on the people by the government of La République du Cameroun. Recall that the core of this liberation movement has been our ability to take our own destiny into our hands, our ability to run our own affairs democratically the way we want, our ability to determine our own development priorities, our ability to decide who we want to do business with and who we don't want to do business with, to determine for ourselves the form of education we want to give to our children, so that at the end of the day, we don't graduate job seekers, we graduate job creators from our various institutions of higher learning in the southern Cameroons. That is the aspiration of at least 8 million people of Amazonia. And we are at the vanguard of this quest for freedom. We must continue to stand very firm. And just so you know, while La République du Cameroun continues to make noise all over the world on how they are getting ready to reconstruct the southern Cameroons that they have destroyed with a scorched earth policy, that they are still destroying every day through a scorched earth policy that they copied from France in their budget for 2023. You will be shocked to notice that the allocation made I will even get a bit into this. I just throw a quick guess if I can get some, figures, some specific figures to, add to this, so you get to understand better what I'm talking about. Listen, while La République du Cameroun says they are preparing to rehabilitate or to reconstruct the southern Cameroons that they have destroyed, they set aside in their 2023 budget the sum of 14 billion. Listen, 14 billion. That's an insult, right? We have made clear we don't need La République du Cameroun to reconstruct our land. We don't want to see the southern Cameroons evolving in the total anarchy that we are seeing. Those of us who are living in North America, in Western Europe, and in other well-organized countries, you see how the cities are planned. Access routes to every single home. Not the anarchy that you have back home. So we're not interested in La République du Cameroun coming to say that reconstructing our land to come and install the anarchy, the organizational anarchy that is going on in their country. When we take back our land, we will get some of the best urban architects in the world to redesign our cities, towns, and villages, so that when we begin developing our land, anybody coming from anywhere will know this are an organized people. This are people who have their destiny into their own hands. A meager 14 billion to reconstruct the southern Cameroon, which is not 1/10 of the allocation made for the south region, which has not been devastated, where a scorched earth policy has not been conducted. It is 132 billion set aside for the south region. We have faced this mockery way too long, and it is time we tell them, you must stop here. So my people of Amazonia, I want to round up this communication at this point. I'll definitely be coming back every now and then, and we will continue to communicate through this makeshift arrangement until my studio is up. And so therefore, if you're just joining this live broadcast and you want to contribute in one way or the other to ensure that we have a very successful demonstration in Washington, D.C., you want to contribute for us to hire that LED truck for that demonstration. As I announced earlier, rush quickly to either Zelle or PayPal. Use the Amazonia Relief Funds account to make your contribution. So if you are paying in by PayPal, it's ambarelief2018@gmail.com. Amber Relief again, AMBARELIEF 2018@gmail.com. You can use that both for Zelle and for PayPal. My people, thank you very much. If you're an activist in this liberation movement, the time for you to come out and act like seriously is now. Your platform must be used right now to mobilize our people as much as possible towards this demonstration. It is absolutely important. Don't wait to be contacted to participate in mobilizing people. Do this spontaneously. Like I said, it is not being organized by any of our groups, movements, and organizations. It is the people's demonstration. Therefore, don't waste time to be part of this. Don't lag behind. Be part of this movement. You belong to a cultural group, make sure you transmit as many messages as possible to that cultural group to remind them of the need to participate in this demonstration. You belong to an ex-student union, make sure you use that platform to mobilize people towards this demonstration. You belong to any form of social group, be it a Njangi group, church groups, and everything. Use those platforms to mobilize people to be part of this demonstration. By all means, do everything to be useful, to contribute in making sure we move this demonstration forward. Once more, happy Sunday to all and sundry, and thank you for your kind attention. Until we meet again, I've been Comrade John Aku.